Straight ahead on 12 News, a U.S. postal worker is dead in what police believe is a horrible accident in Brooklyn Center. Then, fire forces the evacuation of a Plymouth apartment complex. But first, the search is on for a missing baby in Brooklyn Park. 12 News starts right now. Hello, everyone. The search is on now for a missing 2-month-old boy.
The baby disappeared from the Moonraker apartments at Brookdale Drive and Welcome Avenue in Brooklyn Park. And that's where we find our Renee Bonneau with the latest. Renee?
Mike and Alex, the last of the police officers and investigators who were here at the apartment all day had just left. They'd been here since just after 6 o'clock this morning. The mother of that baby told them that sometime between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m., her baby disappeared from a couch in her apartment, and since then, it's been a race to find him.
Certainly time is relevant here, and it's important. I mean, we had a little baby that's, vulnerable.
Police say there were 3 adults in the apartment with the boy when he disappeared. Officers and detectives have been questioning relatives, friends, and neighbors here at the apartment to figure out what might have happened. They've also been searching the apartment complex and the surrounding area for the boy. Investigators say it doesn't look like anyone forced their way into the apartment, and right now, nothing indicates a stranger took him.
We have no specific information about a stranger abduction type thing right now. We're just working, all the information that we have right now. Clearly, if that type of information develops, we'll put out an Amber Alert immediately. So we're considering that if that becomes relevant.
Police are looking for a 2-month-old boy. He is part African American and part Native American. He was last seen wearing a multi-shaded brown onesie with little football helmets on it. Anyone who has seen anything suspicious is urged to call Brooklyn Park Police at 493-8222. Now, Amber Alerts are issued by law enforcement in cases of non-familial child abductions, and 2 criteria need to be met. 1, they have to prove that the child is in some kind of imminent danger of injury or death, and police also have to have some information that they could disperse to the public. Again, in this case, there has not been an Amber Alert issued, and we'll let you know if one will be. We're live in Brooklyn Park. Renee Bonneau, 12 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Renee. In Brooklyn Center, a postal worker has died in an apparent workplace accident.
It happened at the Brooklyn Center post office around 7:30 Tuesday morning. A postal employee was backing up a truck into the loading dock when he struck another worker.
The truck was backing up, and there was a little avenue that they could walk by, and that employee was walking by at that time. And there were other trucks on both sides, so it was somewhat of a busy lot at that time.
As we went to air, the identity of the victim was not being released pending notification of family members. Investigators were on the scene checking the truck to make sure there were no mechanical problems with the vehicle. Officials say the truck driver is cooperating and has agreed to a blood test, but police say the incident appears to be nothing more than just a horrible accident.
Plymouth firefighters had a tough time fighting a fire because of heavy smoke inside an apartment garage. The fire started around 10 Monday night at the Willow Creek Apartments off Nathan Lane. As Sonia Goen shows us, it started with one car on fire and quickly spread to another vehicle.
This is the first car, my brother's car, that started on fire from the front, and somehow it moved to my vehicle.
Dion Laura is still checking out the damage.
Scraps of metal. It's just like the seats, everything are gone, the steering wheel's gone, just everything's gone.
He and his brother had just pulled into the garage when they saw smoke.
He was just like frantic, trying to get out of the car and stuff. It just sparked up, and it was just flames from there, really.
They tried to douse those flames with a fire extinguisher.
It just kept going, so we really couldn't even try to stop it at that time.
The 2 cars created extreme heat, making it difficult for firefighters to put out the fire.
Right after 5 minutes, they would come out. Then again, another group would go in, and that was remarkable. I think they did a very good job,
Hamza Akram lives on the 1st floor. He and other residents in the building were evacuated.
2 firefighters were hurt. One suffered from heat exhaustion. The other had a knee injury. Both are expected to be okay.
One of them was taken in the ambulance.
He's glad the only damage his car suffered is the soot.
Car is running and engine is fine. That's more important.
The fire was starting to come through the floors.
Dion was not as lucky. His Nissan Altima and his brother's Chrysler were destroyed.
It's just nothing left. You can see it's like a Fred Flintstone car. Like, you can put your feet through the bottom. It's pretty bad.
But it's not as bad as it could have been.
Thank God everything is safe and sound.
Yeah, everything went as planned. There was a lot of babies and stuff out here and animals and stuff, so That was pretty good that we got him out.
In Plymouth, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
We're told there are a number of elderly and physically challenged people who live in the building. Fortunately, there were no serious injuries. Meanwhile, firefighters are still trying to determine how the car fire started.
The Osseo Planning Commission has endorsed the idea of an indoor shooting range in downtown Osseo. As Neil Persley reports, the only opposition came from school officials who worry about the proximity of Osseo High School.
An overflow crowd jammed Osseo City Hall as the Planning Commission took up a proposed shooting range 500 feet from Osseo High School. Most favored the idea.
I think it's a great idea to vitalize the community here.
It would be good for business, and I would support it, and I would like to see it happen.
I'll spend more money here in Osseo, run time, back to Duffy's, fill my car up with gas here. So I think it's a great opportunity for your town.
I think this is a full positive on every front for us.
The range will be located on this vacant land. Those in favor hope it will make downtown a destination point.
I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be absolutely huge because I know people will travel 20, 30, 40, 50 miles to use that facility.
I guess I can see the concerns about the people from the school and stuff, but really, once everyone knows there's a range there and the people that are going to show up are going to be responsible people, it's not going to be an issue at all.
There were only a few dissenting voices, primarily coming from the school district.
The proposed shooting range's proximity to the school campus with more than 2,500 young people will increase the complexity of our staff's crisis prevention work and decision making.
The Planning Commission's support was unanimous. I also spoke with the couple that's trying to build the range. They're grateful for the support they've gotten. They do have to meet a number of conditions set forth by the city, like controlling noise and from the gunfire and adequate lighting at night. The next step will take place next week when the proposal will come before the Osseo City Council for final approval. Mike?
All right, thank you, Neil. A weapons screening at the Brookdale and Ridgedale courthouses may become permanent. A temporary setup was put into place more than a year ago, and today a Hennepin County committee recommended making it permanent at a cost of $170,000. County commissioners will consider the issue next week.
A road project commuters are dreading has started, and it only promises to get worse. Here's the problem. MnDOT is repairing crumbling concrete along Interstate 694 between Highway 100 and East River Road. They say it's the result of years of freezing and thawing ice on the highway. Monday night, a westbound lane was closed. On Tuesday night, MnDOT is closing an eastbound lane. Traffic was moving at midday, but during rush hour, you can easily add a half hour to your commute. Work continues through November.
Hennepin County has formed a new partnership that could provide significant savings on tens of thousands of prescription drugs. The county is partnering with a Florida company to launch the Coast to Coast Prescription Drug Card. It's supposed to provide discounts of up to 75% on brand name and generic drugs. The card is meant to help the uninsured, though anyone with insurance can use it, especially if you have a high deductible or a drug that isn't covered. It can even be used for pet prescriptions.
People should look at this as a piece of the healthcare puzzle. They shouldn't assume that this is a catch-all for everything, but just it can help.
The Coast to Coast card also provides discounts on certain healthcare services. Residents can pick one up at libraries or pharmacies in Hennepin County. And we'll have more information about the card on our website at 12.tv. Just click on featured links. Well, coming up, what some say is the most important investment parents of young children can make.
The answer is next in Health Check. And later in sports, why a local boys basketball standout will not be playing for the Cooper Hawks this winter.
But first, it's your AccuWeather forecast.
We want to update our top story about that missing baby in Brooklyn Park.
Yeah, earlier in the newscast, we told you about a 2-month-old boy who disappeared from the Moonraker Apartments in Brooklyn Park. We have now learned that the baby has been found safe apparently in St. Paul, and we will have more information on our website at 12.tv.
And now that the warmer weather has finally arrived, families are going to flock to local pools to take advantage of the short swimming season.
But failure to take the proper precautions can have deadly consequences. 10 people drowned in Hennepin County in 2012, and of the 10, 4 were children who died in area lakes or pools. In today's Health Check, Elaine Cleveland shows us how some families are prepping for the swimming season.
Water is a natural draw for kids. That's why Donette Tanner of Plymouth signed her 2 sons up for swimming lessons.
They could kind of tread water, but as far as swimming laps, I don't know how far they could make it.
Jack, I think, is after him today.
Okay.
Tanner's 8 and 9-year-old boys are 2 of the hundreds learning how to swim at Lifetime Fitness.
It's been amazing just to see the progress that they've had. They've been coming for probably 2.5 months, and when I see them go in, it's been a huge change in that amount of time. So I think it'll be a good life skill for them to have.
When it comes to drowning prevention,
it's scary to think about, and it motivates me more to make sure that I've got the correct people in place.
experts such as Katie Dickinson
So I just want to make sure we can see a little update on his skills today.
say that swimming lessons are the most important investment parents can make.
I'd say as early as possible. I mean, our swim lesson program, we start as young as 4 months old.
Just like this, watch Miss Rachel.
Certified instructors teach the kids in these classes the basics about body positioning and how to become efficient and confident swimmers by incorporating the arms and legs.
I want you guys to go home and practice as much as you can.
But even swimming lessons aren't a magic bullet. Ultimately, safety comes down to supervision.
Take the time to get in the water with your kids. Have fun with them. Don't sit on the side and sunbathe and forget that your kids are in the water.
That's a rule Donette Tanner follows closely, even with the progress her kids have made since they began taking lessons.
We feel pretty comfortable where they're at, but you never know what's going to happen. So you always have to have your eye on them.
In Plymouth, Elaine Cleveland, 12 News.
Experts also recommend that parents familiarize themselves with the pool or body of water where their kids are swimming, and always wear a life jacket. Well, coming up, playground equipment in New Hope you might not have seen before.
But first in sports, an Osseo native will get some national TV exposure in the boxing ring this week. Jay Wilcox has that and more when we come back.
I'm Jay Wilcox with sports. It looks as though this area's top boys basketball player and one of the best in the nation will not be finishing his high school career in the northwest suburbs. Senior-to-be Rashad Vaughn will reportedly be leaving Cooper to play at a prep school in the coming school year. Vaughn averaged 29 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 steals for the Hawks as a junior, and is one of 3 Minnesota players ranked in the top 40 in the country. A local professional boxer will show his skills to a nationwide audience Friday night. Osseo native Caleb Truax steps into the ring at the Minneapolis Convention Center. He'll be facing Donovan George of Chicago in a middleweight bout that is part of ESPN2's Friday Night Fight show. I talked with Truax about the next big step in his career.
It's a huge opportunity, and I'm very excited because one of my original goals as a professional was to bring a TV fight to Minneapolis, and that's what I got here is ESPN Friday Night Fights, and it's against a guy that's a solid guy where a win will put me right where I need to be as far as positioning for a big fight next, and I'm ready to go.
Do you treat it any different knowing that, I mean, you have been in the national spotlight a little bit before? Is it still everything just the same way as you always do things?
It's all business. It's all business. We prepare for each guy differently. We've watched, I think we have 7 of his fights on film for Donovan George, so we've got a great game plan, and we just adapt to what I'm going to be able to take advantage of, and just work hard every day like we do for every fight.
What can you tell me about him? What have you seen when you watch those fights?
He's tough, man. He's tough. He's been in there with some real good guys. That's why I wanted the fight. I wanted to beat a guy that's going to give me a boost to the next level, and he's a big puncher. He's got a real hard right hand, but that's also kind of is going to be his downfall because he's a pretty one-dimensional fighter where he just looks for that one big punch and doesn't really box that well. So that's what I plan to take advantage of.
You fought a real veteran last time and a guy that had been a big name in Minnesota, and Matt Vanda. How much did a fight like that prepare you for something like tonight, Friday?
That's huge because it's great experience being in there with a guy like Matt who's going to push you and knows all the veteran tricks, and he came to fight, man. I didn't expect him to be that wound up to fight. He came there and he took everything I could give them for 10 rounds. And anytime you go hard 10 rounds, it's a great building block for the next fight. So it was a definitely good experience.
It was a great performance by you, but you did come out with a little bit of an injury. Is that going to hamper you at all Friday?
No, I actually, it was called a Bennett fracture. It's just a small bone in my thumb and wrist that broke, but it's healed up. It's not 100%, but it's still a little sore. But it's not going to affect me on Friday. So we'll just keep on sticking to the game plan and throwing punches like normal.
Well, you talked about kind of carrying the flag for Minnesota. How important is this potentially for the Twin Cities in terms of getting future fights on TV and just getting more notoriety?
I think it's huge because a lot of times on like ESPN Friday Night Fights, it'll be at a venue where the crowd's kind of stale. It'll be at a casino, for example, and there'll be 500 people there or something like that. And there's the convention center is going to be rocking on Friday night. I can tell you that. I guarantee that. And that's always a positive to have a supportive crowd. And ESPN will take notice hopefully and come back after I beat this guy and have some more of my fights on their network.
I like that confidence. The Truax George fight is the co-main event and will be followed by undefeated and number 2 IBF contender Rancis Barthelemy against Thailand's Fasai Sakriran, who's ranked number 5 in a super featherweight matchup. So I know Caleb's very excited, and I think a lot of his fans are going to be seeing a great fight on Friday.
All right, thanks a lot, Jay.
You bet.
Still ahead, a story in New Hope that will have you spinning.
We'll be right back. Young men from Brooklyn Center received important life lessons today thanks to a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Former Viking Randall McDaniel spoke to next year's 9th grade class at a summer summit at the University of St. Thomas. Organizers say boys are in need of extra support as they transition from middle school to high school, particularly boys of color.
For some of these boys, they need that village of people who are really invested in their success, and I think this provides that for them.
The Northwest Suburban Integration School District helped organize the one-week summit. Well, finally, a park with playground equipment that you might not have seen before.
Check out this next generation merry-go-round. It's called a Supernova. And a big corkscrew called a blender spinner. We're not really sure what you do, but obviously the kids have figured it out. And then there's a series of ropes called swiggle sticks. When New Hope wanted to update their city park center, they wanted something a little bit special.
Since this is a real focal point for the city and as part of our city center, we wanted to make sure that this was a signature park. So we have a lot of different equipment here, a lot of signature kind of equipment.
The new equipment updates what was the oldest playground equipment in town. And that does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
See you back here again tomorrow.